Welcome back to The Road to Rosslyn Park, episode 3. I'm Russ McCluskey. He's Phil Greenaway, and it's absolutely peeing it down outside. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm not bad, mate. I'm actually down in the West Country. I've come back to the mothership, come back to Devon for a few days, and it has not stopped raining since I left London on Sunday. It is absolutely hammering it down, and I can't believe we're in the 7th season. It's absolutely ridiculous. So it's mental. But no, we're all good, mate. We're all good. We're excited for Rosslyn Park. And obviously the weekend saw the sort of what I think is it's almost the kickstart of the road to Rosslyn Park with the Seaford Tens. And we've got a great guest on today. And we're obviously delighted to have him on. But we're also really looking forward to that Rosslyn Park tournament, which is probably, 8 or 9 weeks away now, Russ? And we'll be there with Sox TV. We'll be covering every pitch. We'll be aiming to live stream every single pitch from RE1 all the way through to the Asda car park, 862 pitch down the road. And it promises to be magic, mate. Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And just massive thanks to everybody at Sox and Sox TV for sponsoring this pod and allowing us to speak to brilliant people. And we've got an absolute cracker on, somebody I work with. But it's difficult when I'm looking outside at the garden right now to think there can be any sport. I don't think you're ever getting back from Devon. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. That's it. You may as well just set up camp down there and I'll come and visit you when I can in the summer. I'll see you in August, pal.
Honestly, unless someone's got a hovercraft to get me back to London or some kind of helicopter that can land on water, I've got no chance. I've got absolutely no chance of getting home.
No chance. Well, there was 2 big sporting stories from the weekend. There was Alex Honnold, who climbed the skyscraper in Taipei, in Taiwan. So if anybody saw that, my hands started sweating a minute into that live stream. Talking of live streams, maybe Alex Honnold will get Sox TV for the next one. But my hands were sweating at the start and they were sweating at the end. I don't think I breathed for about 45 minutes. That was a big sports story, seeing him climb a tower. And then the second big sports story of the weekend was Seaford winning the Seaford Tens. Sean Thompson, how are you, mate?
Mate, great. Still buzzing, really. Saying just before we came on, the last 24 hours at school has been awesome. The Tens has become a really cool fixture at the start of the year, and we get some great schools coming along to it. And for us to win it for the first time we've ever actually got to the final as well, and then to go on and win it for the boys has been amazing. The buzz around campus has been brilliant.
And that's superb, mate. And just quickly from me, it must be massive jubilation that you got through to the final and you won it. Absolutely. And I think that is cracking, but enormous relief you got the tournament on. Well bloody played. Well done, mate.
Yeah, I think anyone that maybe saw our game against NSB pre-Christmas, the pitch was pretty bad. Our ground staff have worked so well. Paul, our head groundsman, he knows how much it means to us to get that tournament on, and they've been working their socks off the whole time without weirdly being able to actually get on it that much because it's just been so wet. They were really disappointed they couldn't present the pitch better. They couldn't get some stripes into it and all that stuff because they just couldn't get on to cut it. So yeah, amazing it's happened. I'm very relieved it's done with the rain that's going on at the moment because I'm not sure there's going to be many more played in the next week or so, which is obviously disappointing, but yeah, so excited that we got that done. And what was an amazing day. The off-pitch areas have actually taken a bigger battering than the on-pitch because we had so many people come down and watch it as well, the spectating parents, old boys, everyone that came down, made it a really, really cool day.
Mate, it's fantastic. And I sort of love that we start this sort of, the road to Rosslyn Park with the Tens, and then we kind of finish with the Seaford Tens at the end. I think it's a really nice tournament. And it was my favourite rugby to play was Tens. I was not quick enough to play in sevens. But it's such a great advert for the game. We talked with Mike Friday last week about the short format of the game. And I thought his insight was brilliant, that it's still got a massive, massive place. Where does it sit in your rugby programme, Sean, the Tens and then the sevens? How important is it to you guys?
Oh, mate, it's huge. Firstly, I remember playing a sevens tournament with you down at Exeter once upon a time. I think we got to a bit of silverware, actually, against the Loughborough Otters in a final. Both of us probably needing to release the caravan at that point. But no, it was good. Short format I think it's huge. For our boys in particular, at the senior end of the school, it keeps them all involved. Like with the bookending the 7 season with the 10s means that those type 5 boys can all stay heavily involved in what we're doing. They've got something to keep working towards. We're very lucky here that we're supported with our senior program, and I think we've got 10 sevens tournaments that we're going to this term with our senior setup, and that'll be first and second seven. So some of those front row guys will still get a run out. But that 10s, I think different schools approach it different ways. Some will approach it as sevens with 3 more guys. Some will approach it 15s with 5 less. And so seeing the contrasting styles and the way that teams go about it, I think some are probably focusing on their sevens prep and then just have a run out at tens, whereas we spend the first 3 weeks just gearing up for the tens, and then we have to turn it around pretty quickly. We're supposed to have a sevens tournament tomorrow down at Care Southampton for our second seven. So some of those guys will be running out, trying to involve the guys that maybe didn't play at the weekend, because we're getting 30 plus boys turn up for training every week for the seniors. So that's pretty cool. And I think within our program, it's very much, when you get into the sixth form, you can choose whether you want to do sevens/tens or hockey. And I think we've got 2 boys that are trying to bounce between the two, both in the sort of first and second teams for hockey, but not many more than that. And I think it's kind of shown the strength of our program that we've got as many boys as that wanting to turn up. When I first got here, a lot of the boys would maybe choose to go to the gym in this term or go do something different because they felt that their rugby term was done. But now that second term is massive for us and keeps everyone involved. And we really talk a lot about our sevens program, particularly for our under 17s, those boys in the lower sixth, getting them ready for next year, upskilling them, and everything that Mike said. I listened to Mike and Femi's one the week before as well, how important sevens is at developing your skills, putting you under the microscope, both and as coaches as well. Like, we get all of our coaches taking a team for sevens, and it develops you as a coach as well as a player. So yeah, I think it's huge within our program, and I think rightfully so. Yeah, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, mate, actually. And in terms of those type 5 lads, I remember at Kings a few years ago, our captain was he could play loose or tight head, and he turned up to sevens training, a practice we put on, and a few of the lads kind of raised an eyebrow a little bit, even though it was open invite. And then he ended up making the squad of 12 because he got himself a bit faster, a bit leaner. He could pass off both hands, good distance. So why wouldn't he be in there? And obviously his contact skills were brilliant. And I think, like, particularly if you're looking at those lower six boys or those under 16 boys for your next 15 season, instills a bit of confidence in them, doesn't it? Because we know around the sixth form centre there'll be a few jibes and a few lads going, oh, you're not going to make the seven squad because you play front row or second row. It's nonsense, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's a clean slate in many ways.
Yeah, I think so. And I think you just got to look over the years of some of the guys. I remember that Cranley side a few years ago that were tearing it up with Hugh Tizard playing on the wing. Like, what a great threat that is. Would you fancy being a winger with him coming tearing down your channel? I certainly wouldn't have done. And I think you look at look at the weekend. We scored 1 try that started in our own 22. We ended up with our loose head prop breaking on the outside, playing the ball back inside to a winger who goes in under the sticks. And then later on in the day, on the other side, we've got our tight head prop, like one-handed offload back on the inside. And you're just like, how cool is that to develop their skills around the game? We've got one of our other props making line breaks through the middle and offload. I think we scored 1 try against in the semi-final where one of the tight head props is broken, offloaded to the loose head. He's hauled down, and I think you've got a couple of cheaters hauling down the hippo in the middle there, and then goes out wide and the flanker dives in the corner. It's just amazing. The sort of the atmosphere and the boys love it. They absolutely love it. The tens game is such a great way of finding space and attacking that space, but also, like I said, just upskilling the boys and helping them understand how you can actually move the ball quickly. And yeah, I just think it's an amazing part of any program.
Yeah, and like you, it keeps that connection with the boys. For this term when they could be off playing hockey, they could be off playing football, not really part of your sevens, program if you don't take it too seriously. And then all of a sudden you don't see them again for a whole sort of 12 weeks until the start of the summer term. And then, some of those boys, and then they're gone. If they're upper sixth and lower sixth, they might be off playing cricket. So it's really, really important to keep that connection with them, like you said, and to keep them in the game. But you run sevens from the bottom right the way through, right? The boys play from sort of under 14s all the way through, and it's a really big part of their development from the bottom up.
Yeah, definitely. We've got our prep school on site as well. We are a through school. So our 12s and 13s get a little dabble at it next half of term. We don't do too much with them at this half of term because they're very much embedding their hockey. And I think it's important up until year 10, our boys can't just choose sevens. They have to do their hockey as well. And so we find ways to fit that in the activities program. And then at year 10, they can their game slots, because we have 2 game slots per age group throughout a week. They can choose 1 session of one session of another, 2 sessions of both, however they want to do it. If we're very sort of clear with them, like, make your choice and stick to it. And if you want to choose, say you're in year 10, you want to choose sevens on a Monday, and then on Thursday you don't want to do any you're not really a hockey player and you'd rather go into the gym and work on your athletic development, then go do that. And Reece on our athletic development is amazing at working with them. I'm very lucky to have worked with him both at Hampton and here now. And he does some awesome stuff with the boys and their speed development and bits and pieces. And then we also try and find a place for it on Saturdays as well. So this weekend, our hockey fixtures are in the afternoon. So our under 14s, under 15s, and under 16s have a chance to train for sevens in the morning and then go play hockey in the afternoon, get a full day of sport. And we balance that really well. Our head of hockey, Jordan, is awesome at working with me on that and making sure that we see which Saturdays can we make it work, which can't we make it work. If they've got a sevens tournament on the Sunday, then we don't do it. But yeah, I think it's just cracking. Like we're even looking at some Sundays where our seniors might have a tournament, but that's only 13 and the boys going. Well, there's another 16, 17 that still want to train, so they'll train on Saturday morning. Just trying to find ways to do it and provide opportunities for them to upskill themselves.
I think what you just said there, Tomo, is quite unique, actually. I'm going to say it, right? And not from the school environments I've been in, but as a director of sport, that would have been quite a difficult conversation to manage, get the head of hockey in, get the head of rugby in. Look, we do want to do a little bit with them, but then they're going to play, because sometimes the head of hockey would be super, super protective. So I think you've fostered that relationship and you've built that. And that is full credit to you guys as a department, really, allowing that. Because let's be honest, what does that 7 session look like? Is that kind of 9, 10 in the morning, then they've got a nice break, they're getting lunch at school? Is that what's happening there? Then they play the hockey fixture in the afternoon? Exactly that.
Very much so. And it's very much, we look at week by week. So I think the first couple of weeks, the under 14s, for example, they were training 9 till 10:30, and then their bus was leaving at 11 o'clock to go to an away fixture. So they little bit of a snack, eat on the bus, and then get off to that fixture. We make sure that those sessions aren't going to destroy them for the afternoon. They're very sort of maybe installing a little bit of understanding around kickoffs and shape and bits and pieces rather than running their legs off. We'll do the conditioning side. They're going to get their conditioning in the hockey game in the afternoon. So getting that balance right, why would you not do it? And the kids, they're queuing up to do it. The parents love it. I guess that means the parents get a whole day to go to home base or whatever it is they need to do as well. Or maybe go just get down to the hockey fixture they get into in the afternoon nice and early. Yeah, it's amazing. And again, we'll put on tea and coffee for the parents during those 7 sessions. They can come and watch, see what we're doing, understand why we're trying to play the way we're trying to play, which helps with that parent relationship as well. And yeah, I just think it's a really cool way of getting the boys involved as much as possible. And in the past, we've been lucky to have a girls squad as well. And I'm sure we'll touch on it at some point, but yeah, like Rosslyn Park memories, our girls squad from a couple of years ago, I think it's probably up there with one of my greatest. So yeah, I just think if you can make it work, why not? Like try and find ways to manage it and just have those conversations. Jordan's cracking. Like he's happy to embrace that. There'll be certain boys who'll be like, oh, we'd really, and again, when they get to year 11 and seniors, they can choose. We've got a couple of year 11 boys this year that were maybe just wanting to just do sevens. And we've sort of said, why not go play for the third team on a Saturday? Like it's only going to improve your conditioning. It's only going to improve your seeing of space and all that sort of stuff. And we'll make that work. We'll balance it. If you've really got a tournament on Sunday you want to focus on, then okay, maybe someone else gets a chance to play hockey this week and play for that third team, and you go and you play sevens on Sunday.
I love that. I love the fact that you're looking at it as in, what can we do rather than what can we not do. I think that's such a great attitude to have, and I think that'll be welcomed by parents, right? They're getting their value for money out of you guys on a Saturday and a Sunday if that's what's happening. I love that. I love that approach. And I guess you touched on the Rosslyn Park Sevens in. And this is the road to Rosslyn Park. Sean, you've been there for donkey's years with Hampton, with Seaford. What are your favourite memories of Rosslyn Park? And why is it such a special tournament? What is it about the tournament that just makes it such a great week? I know that as a head of rugby, you are absolutely on your backside by the end of the week, but it's such a great week.
Yeah, look, it is. I think for me, the whole 7 season is just amazing. The buzz around it. I think there'll be plenty of heads of rugby, and I'm included in that will go from Feb half term until the end without a day off. You're training on Saturdays, you're playing on Sundays, and you're right, you get to the end of that Rosslyn week and you are on your feet. And then we get on a bus and go to the Sedbergh Tens and have a cracking weekend up there as well. Invariably, the week after Sedbergh, Eliza, my other half, she's amazing. She knows that I'm not moving and I'm probably ill, and just don't book anything for that week. So, because your body just says, right, enough. But yeah, look, the Rosslyn Park week, it's just amazing. The buzz around it. I don't think if you tried to do it elsewhere, you could replicate it, because it's built and built and built over the years. It's not been it's been pretty organic without wanting to sound sort of too cliched about it. It's sort of built itself up into what it is now. The guys over there have done a great job. Higgy and before him, Dom, I'm doing a great job of building that up and making it the week that it is and putting on the spectacle for the kids. I still remember the first time going there when they had millions and millions of various kit stalls and wacky socks and bits and pieces you could get. And now, okay, maybe it's a bit more commercialized now on that front, but the rugby itself is just awesome. And the fact you get the different age groups overlapping, like it's very rare you get your boys to see each other play. And you get the seniors cheering on the little ones and the little ones cheering on the seniors. And that's why Sunday here was so special, because we had so many of our boys from various year groups come down and watch. And so they don't get to do that often. And then every year, the way that they overlap and the atmosphere and the buzz is just great. I think from a head of rugby point of view as well, and directors of sport and other coaches, it's catching up with guys you've known for years. Like catch up with you guys, worked with you, Russ, Phil. Like, yeah, when was 2003. It's a bit scary. And yeah, we won't talk about it because that was a scary year for me with you there. But no, it was like those relationships as well. Every year you see those familiar faces, how people getting on with, they've moved on to, there's suddenly in a different set of kit and you're like, hang on a minute, when did you move there? And you catch up with people you've not seen. And I think those memories that the boys make, a big thing we talk about in our rugby program here is providing opportunities to make memories. I think a lot of people say, oh, we want the boys to make amazing memories. It's like, well, if you want to do that, you've got to create opportunities to make those memories. It's not just going to happen. And so Rosslyn is just an amazing chance to do that. Like you get, as we've said, moments for our girls a couple of years ago. We'd never had a girls sevens team. We went there with absolutely zero expectation and we ended up in a cup quarter final. And the year after they went back again as under 15s playing in the under 16 tournament and got to a plate final, playing on RE1 live stream. We got the whole school watching it back here. And just going absolutely bananas and like just so cool. And that's definitely going to be one of my highlight memories. I think there was some at Hampton as well. We won the plate there one year, beating Hartbury in the final. I think the only game we lost over that week was to Brighton on day one, and they ended up in the final against Cranley. That was a cracking side, really great bunch of boys that have gone on to do some cool stuff. Yeah, other things around that. I remember taking Eltham there one year and we lost out to Tunbridge, and I think either the last 16 or the quarter final even. Just so many different occasions with different groups of boys that I actually had one of them send me a message on Instagram a few days ago because he's out in Australia and he's bumped into another lad from so one lad from Elton, one lad from Hampton, photo together saying, hey, I hope do you recognise these two fellas? And they both went to Rosslyn and were part of some pretty cool teams. Yeah, look, in terms of making memories and stuff, I don't think there's a better setting for it.
No, it's awesome, isn't it? It's the best. And we can't wait to make those memories. And like you say, there are a lot of around the live stream and everything like that. So that, the kids and the families get to keep it, don't they? They get to watch it back. They get to clip it up, do all that good stuff around it. Mate, let's drill in then. Okay. So you've had first-hand eyes on. Okay. You were in a coaching capacity on Sunday and your boys did incredibly well. And now there'll be a target on your back, won't there? Lots of people will be saying, hang about this Seaford side are really going to be in the mix this year. Who else, from what you saw on Sunday, who else is there or thereabouts at the moment? And I know it's early season. I know it was tens. I know it was attritional. But who has said, right, we're in this to win it?
Look, I mean, to be honest, so many different teams from Sunday anyway. You just got to look at the results. I think there was less than 5 games won by more than a score. And so the tightness of the competition and the quality. I mean, Goldie's Abingdon side did so well. First time that they'd come down to play in it, and they got all the way to the semi-final. They're gonna be flying. Clifton will have some boys to come back in, and I think that's where you've got a bit of a pinch of salt from Sunday, maybe because you've got most teams would have been missing academy boys. So Epsom got to a plate final, but they had so many of their boys missing, and of course they're still in the Schools Cup as well, so they're building towards that. Hurst played some great stuff. When they got the ball to the edge, they've got some boys that can fly, so they'll be pretty decent. Obviously, we've got a couple of boys to come back in as well, which is nice. Gordons were so difficult to break down, and they'll have boys involved with Quins as well. They're going to be there or thereabouts again. I know they've had a couple of good years at Rosslyn where they've maybe got to semi-finals and stuff, so they're going to be in the mix. Look, that's just across the south, and there's so many other schools not there. It's only a 16-team tournament. I think depending on how the Schools Cup run and stuff goes, you can't look beyond NSB and the way that they play. And Sedbergh this year, they're up like, I don't know this, I haven't seen them on Sunday, but they were pretty decent last year with a massively lower 6th team. and that team won it as under 16s at Rosslyn, I think. So that's their upper six going to be pretty special. I think they could do some pretty cool stuff. And I know that's some of the usual names, but I think the way that schools rugby's going at the moment, there's very much expected names to do well, and there's always going to be a couple that throw into the mix as well that maybe come out of nowhere. Finborough in the last few years have done some pretty cool stuff on that front. I think Ipswich will be pretty decent at seven, the way that they play. Yeah, but it's going to be like pin the tail on the donkey. There's going to be some wicked teams out there.
Yeah, and in there, I don't think we've mentioned the likes of Wellington and Millfield, and we know that they'll always be strong as well, you know. So, and Brighton College, we've not mentioned Brighton College, you know, sort of last year's winners, and they'll be back, Nick Boy and his crew to try and defend the title. But is Rosslyn Park the toughest schoolboy competition to win, bar none?
I think just because everyone's there, it has to be. I think there's different tournaments that would put their hat in the ring for different reasons. What was the Surrey Sevens is now the Richmond Sevens. You've got to win 7 games in a day. Like, that's brutal. I remember doing that with Hampton, and that was pretty special in the sunshine. 7 games in one day. I mean, that day, things fell for us. All the other big in the other half of the draw, and we sort of crept up on the outside a little bit, and then got a very tired Beach and Cliff in the final. And that's a pretty tough tournament. I think if you're talking 10s, Sedbergh and ours, again, you've got to win 5 games at ours, and then the 2 days at Sedbergh. There's other tournaments around as well. I know TSC Sevens, and that's a 2-day tournament now. But I think, yeah, look, Roslyn's got everyone. There's no one not there. And there's, like I said, there's always going to be a couple of people then that you've maybe not under anticipated, but just not quite seen coming. The balance of the ball goes your way. You can end up with an absolutely brutal group. Like we had both Kirkham and Epsom in our group last year. And so we went into our final game against Epsom saying, right, because we'd lost to Kirkham had then beaten Epsom. We were like, right, fellas, well, you're in the play tomorrow if you win it. If not, we get an extra day to recover for the Sedbergh 10s. So let's see what happens. By half time, it was very clear which one we were doing. That Epsom side went on to get to that play final and were brilliant. Yeah, look, I think, and actually teams to look out for, I think they'll be in the mix this year. Again, Schools Cup run dependent. Yeah, you never know. And that's why I think you're right, it's so tough. You just don't know who could be that hurdle that you don't quite get past. And you slip up in a group stage game. Again, a couple of years ago, team came over from Spain that we completely underestimated, and that nearly cost us getting through today too. Luckily, they then lost to someone else, and it worked out. But you just don't know who's going to be that team that you slip up against, or you maybe don't quite value. And I think you saw it said, but last year they ended up in the play. But it's just so exciting, and I think that's why it's such a good tournament.
Mate, and I'll just jump in. Sorry, Russ, just jump in on that. I mean, a memory from last year that stood out for me is I stood on RE2 watching Teddy's Oxford versus somebody, and I just thought the quality of the sevens and the skills on show, the catch pass and the way they were playing, I was like, these guys aren't even in the top 64 of the competition here. Like, the quality of rugby is absolutely top of the charts. I also think the under-16s at Rosslyn Park is, without a shadow of a doubt, probably the toughest tournament to win because it's everyone all in one competition, and it is brutal.
100%.
Yeah.
Have you got a chance?
I think anyone's got a chance if you get it right, but I think there's some pretty strong sides out there this year. I mean, our under-16 boys, they did okay in the sort of that National Cup that's running for 16s now, but they're probably relying a bit more on some tight 5 guys and pretty energetic back row. So whether that transfers to 7s or not, I don't know. Next year, we maybe will. Our current 15s are a cracking bunch, and they love their 7s. They did pretty well last year as under 14s. And I think that's an awesome tournament. The 14s tournament as well now, since that's been introduced, it's just great because you get such a crazy disparity of player. You've got guys that look like they could be walking out for a first team, and you've got guys that look like they could maybe still be playing for your under 12s. And then you see, I remember I think it was the Jess team a few years ago. They had a lad that you're just like, this is the bravest kid I've ever seen. He was absolutely tiny, and he's flying into these monsters, particularly from some of the northern schools. And you're just like, wow. And then when he got the ball, I don't know if you remember ever playing Jonah Lomi rugby. There was that cheat team that had the little fella that sort of scampered around. He was like that. And it was like, you catch him, you get to make a wish. And it was just amazing to see. And I think like that's why I think the under-14s tournament for me is so exciting, because you just don't know what you're going to get. Whereas the 16s, again, I think generally it falls towards some of those sort of maybe more established schools as they built their program and sort of pushed them through. But then you look at St. Peter's York a few years ago, they were awesome. And I think, yeah, like everyone's in that melting pot. And you're right, the Vars as it is now, there's some teams in there that would go so well in the cup. And I do wonder, like you've had that conversation so many times, like how do we get that right around the cup Vars? And I know the guys there are always battling that. Is it are we at a stage now where we need 3 tiers rather than 2 in the 18s program? Because there's some schools that go along to the Vars and in the nicest possible way, they're not going to get through that group. But so how can we make their experience a bit better? There's definitely things to look at the tournament that could maybe tweak. And maybe we can dive into that in a minute, but there's the whole week has got awesome sevens being played and some kids out there that the skill level is just through the roof.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It really is. And to your point there, I do think the 16s tournament is one of the hardest things to win in school sport. Normally about that, 256 schools. Yeah, that said, Baruppa 6 team won it. Under 16s, they were immense, weren't they? Absolutely immense over the 2 days. And then the 14s, I remember a Kings team, I went to watch our Kings 14s and they beat Kings Mac the start of day 2 and it was unbelievable. And they were like, oh, here we go, we beat Kings Mac. And then, a couple of hours later, lose to Merchiston Castle because they just fizzed it around, had a couple of lads who were super fit, knew how to play. And they had a lot of structure. So, the ebb and flow of the 2 days is unbelievable, isn't it? That emotional roller coaster. John, you've had teams from Eltham there, you've had teams from Hampton, you've got teams from Seaford there. If you're a young DOR or a young rugby coach at the moment listening to this pod, what are your kind of top couple of tips for managing the players, managing yourself over those 2 days, if you're lucky enough to get through to day 2 and whatever age group it is you're taking?
Stay hydrated for both players and staff.
Everyone.
Yeah. There's been I remember there was one year I got in the bus at the end of the day and I went to have a sip from my water bottle. I was like, that's still full. Like, what? No wonder I'm feeling a bit rough. I think, yeah, look, there's so many different things and we talk about managing those things really, really well. It's a big part of the way that we try and control tournaments. Getting that bit between games right is almost more important at times than what goes on the field. Because if you are lucky enough to get through to a day 2 or to be in the mix at the end of a long day, the teams that have got that bit right, so it's vital. So speak to you guys in your athletic development department. What do you want them doing between games? Speak to your physios, work with people like that. What are you getting right in terms of that post-match recovery and then pre-match warm-up? Because you don't want to run their legs off in the warm-up either. But at the same time, you need to account for that oxygen debt and the bits around that. So many little things there. What they're eating, what they're drinking. Try and keep them away from the burger vans and the bits and pieces, like eating a massive pulled pork baguette at Roslyn's probably not going to be the best thing they could do. Thinking about that, and we've worked really well with our catering company, and we've got a nutritionist there, Dan, who sort of works for them. It's actually Holroyd Howe, the guys that are at Roslyn, and he's sort of spoken to our catering department and said, look, this is what they need over a day. And then I then chat to him, okay, when should they be eating what? And getting that right. And then you look across and your fly is smashing a burger or worse, they're at that sweet stall and they're just sugar rush and they're crashing on the other side. Yeah. Trying to get that right is when you're dealing with kids and then that you look across and the dad's bought them something that they definitely shouldn't be eating, or mum's adamant that they're going to have a can of Coke now or something. And you're just thinking, come on guys, help me out here. Yeah.
Or they're
sit
on
down and work out what it is you want
like that.
Yeah, don't get me started. Don't get me started on Monster and things like that. Yeah, we try and be really deliberate, and prior to Roslyn, we like to get all the boys in and speak to them and say, look, this is how we're going to try and manage this. And you should be using your tournaments in the run up to it as preparation for that. And I know some of those tournaments you maybe only have 20 minutes or 40 minutes between games, which is very different to Roslyn. But okay, what are we going to do between games? How can we control this? What should you be eating? How can you recover? Do you need to get under shelter? That sort of stuff. Because again, Roslyn, if you one of the teams that doesn't take a tent, which sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, and different schools do it in different ways. How are you keeping the boys moving? Do you want them on feet walking around to recover? Do you want them lying down? If they're lying down and it's pouring with rain, you've got to think about that. Just look at each of those bits and try and control the controllables, I guess. Because quite often you can't control what goes on the field. The bounce of a ball, the quality of the opposition, referee decisions, bits and pieces. you can control the stuff off pitch. So sit down and work out what it is that's going to be important to you. And like I said, work with those guys that can help you. Work with your physios, work with your S&C guys. I mean, if you've got a school catering company, they've probably got a nutritionist. Speak to them, and then make sure that message is relayed to the parents. Because again, best will in the world, if your parents aren't on board with that, they're going to be giving them stuff that maybe they think helps and it doesn't.
I love that. I mean, it is such a great tournament for all those reasons, because the atmosphere around R81 and they're walking around, and you got the army band, and you got, I think they've been a great addition to the tournament. But I guess that's why the under-13s, the under-14s become so important, isn't it, for those boys? Because then they know what to expect when they're coming to that tournament, and they're almost prepared for it. And then I love that. Listen, how well we can manage ourselves this week is entirely down to you, and it's over to you, boys, and it's time to sort of put your big boy pants on and grow up. And I think the other addition, the growth of the girls' tournament at Rosslyn Park has been a fantastic, not only for the women's game, but it's added to the community, it's added to the atmosphere there that week. I remember watching, you mentioned Jesty Bar. I remember watching the Jesty Bar girls being cheered on by all their parents and everybody they had over last year, and it was magic. It was fantastic, fantastic advert for just community rugby.
Yeah. Like I think I said it earlier, when we've got your different year groups there, different sets of parents. If you're lucky enough to have teams make it to day 2, and so you get that overlap, it's awesome. And then those teams that are traveling from further afield, you're right. You see Dubai College, Des, those guys come over, just adds a really cool flavour to it. It can be quite intimidating. Like, I think our girls were very much up against it, and against one of those teams last year in the under-16s, and the crowd around the pitch, you're looking around like, where have all these people come from? Because it was over on one of the ASDA pitches, and it was heaving, and you're just like, what's happening? And then you realise it was all their other age groups and all their parents, and it was awesome. Like, we came out on the wrong side of it, but it was just amazing. And those girls may not have that experience again. And I think that's it. Like, some of these boys and girls will go on, and hopefully they'll play rugby for a long, long time, and they'll make some amazing memories when they leave school. But what an experience it is to have you're playing on RE1 or RE2 or any pitch, to be honest, with a big crowd there, other age groups watching, boys and girls from different schools and different ages. And you see something magic happen, and everyone just lifts. And that's that moment, and they won't forget that. And look, if Sox TV are looking to stream more pitches, that just makes it even more like exciting for everyone, because you're going to get people that wouldn't normally be able to see it. And I think in the past, you're looking and thinking, oh, okay, well, we're on RE1, that's awesome. But if you're not, those boys and girls don't get that experience. So now that's added such a cool layer to it as well.
Yeah, it's going to be all about making the memories that week. It really is. Sean, you've been amazingly generous with your time this morning. I know you're probably absolutely wrecked on a Tuesday morning after the Lord Mayor's show on the Sunday. Mate, great seeing you. We can't wait to catch up with you, and we'll definitely bump into you, I know, for sure, at Rosslyn Park Sevens. But listen, best of luck over the next few weeks, dodging the raindrops. Hopefully we get some more tournaments on. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on today, mate.
No, pleasure, guys. Great to catch up with both of you. Bit of history with both. So yeah, pretty special to do that. Yeah, looking forward to the 7th season. It's going to be a really exciting one. It always is. We've got a cracking bunch of boys this year at the top end, but throughout the school, like throughout the term, there's going to be some really cool tournaments and some bits and pieces. And I'm sure Rosslyn Park's going to be another amazing week.
Brilliant, mate. Well, listen, good luck to you and everyone at Seaford, and well done on the tournament. I know your headmaster's had a great weekend. He must have been absolutely buzzing with all he pumps into the rugby down there. Some great social media clips of him having a time of his life. But thank you very much, mate. We'll see you on the circuit. I am now getting even more excited about Rosslyn Park Sevens and the run-up. But he's been Russ McCluskey. I've been Phil Greenaway. Sean Thompson, you're a legend. Like and subscribe if you can, guys, and I look forward to catching up with you soon. Go well. Have a good weekend.
Cheers, guys.